Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. As franchise businesses begin to reopen across the country, each are faced with similar questions. How do they properly open their doors while protecting staff, their customers, and still continue to grow the business? Today, I'm speaking with Matt Tuohy, Division Vice President of Franchise at ADP, and we'll take a deep dive into this industry to get an understanding of what is taking place. And Matt, ADP is certainly well known for the payroll and human capital management industry. However, you also have a significant presence within the franchise industry. Tell me how ADP works with this.
Absolutely, Jill. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate the time. So as you know, we pay over 800,000 clients at ADP today. We also serve the entire franchise community, and really that's hundreds of franchisors we partner with from a strategic perspective. We pay tens of thousands of franchisees as clients. And really, we aim to do two key things. One, protect and help them grow their brand. So from a protection standpoint, we aim to provide HR and compliance and answer questions for the franchisees, thus to minimize joint employment risk for a franchisor. The second component is from a growth perspective. So in addition to some of those HR services, staffing, and just really removing administrative tasks and allowing the franchisees to focus on driving revenue and sales for their business.
This year's been extremely difficult for businesses in general. What are the most pressing issues facing franchisees and franchisors?
Yeah, Jill, I mean, like any business, it's been difficult. I think if you look at the franchise community, the most common answer you'll get is a joint employment standard. So that's kind of like the umbrella from a compliance perspective, but then you have state-by-state standards. So whether you're in California, New York, Virginia, every state's a little bit different. And that's both for franchisees and franchisors to keep track of. That's a lot, as well as with COVID, safety regulations, getting back to work. So there's a lot to unpack there. In addition to every brand typically has brand standards the franchisees have to abide by. Just from a compliance perspective, that's a lot. And then you double down into staffing, hiring, and keeping great people. You know, we partner with ZipRecruiter, and they've shared with us, it's really a tough time to do that. In addition, from the franchise community, we've heard it's not only hard to keep your doors open, but keep your doors open and to drive sales under some of these new business models. So those are just a few.
So how is ADP helping them tackle these challenges?
Great question. First and foremost as a resource, I think from both an information as well as innovation perspective, and the information has to be quick. We've heard it's not a matter of days or weeks sometimes. It could be a matter of hours that information is needed in addition to scale. So whether there's a new franchisee with 2 or 3 employees opening right down the street from you or I, or an international or national powerhouse with multiple units and locations, we're able to scale and really take a boutique approach, meaning business continuity strategies, compliance strategies, as well as strategies around employee engagement and wellness, which, as you know, it's more important than ever.
What are some of those solutions?
Sure. So as I mentioned, due to some of the regulations, HR is huge in this space. So having an experienced HR professional that clients can talk to, ask questions, understand those changing regulations is big, but even items that have to be updated, such as handbooks, job descriptions, policies, that's a lot to unpack, in addition to touchless time. So with COVID, it's important to be able to have a safe and sanitized way to keep track of hours wherever your employees are. And right now, there are a lot of different places. In addition to, and I know you're familiar with this one, our Return to Workplace Suite, which is a dashboard view for employers to both make sure that the sentiment as well as health of their employees is understood. And from there, make key decisions. You know, when to bring back, when to bring them back. Do you do it by department? And we drive that by empowerment through the ADP mobile app, where employees can say how they're feeling with a brief health survey, in addition to be able to share their comfort level. So, and our franchise advisory board has really reinforced some of these different solutions as the right ones.
That's interesting. What is a franchise advisory board?
So Jill, we thought it was really important and critical, as do we with multiple markets, to understand what was happening from the folks in it. So we have attorneys, CPAs, franchisors, franchisees, the former chair and current board member of the IFA, Shelley Sun's one of our board members, as well as partners like ZipRecruiter. So I'll give you an example. When COVID-19 first hit, and there were a lot of questions and confusion, we were able to immediately get together with this board and answer questions and ask questions. Employees, patrons, what trends, what workplace models and franchise models could potentially be changing. So those are a couple examples. And then fast forward, return to workplace, and what does it mean? And are you bringing employees back in this space particularly? And it was a little ambiguous for us. We were able to cut through the ambiguity and try to understand from them exactly what was happening. So just a couple examples of what they're telling us.
So how does ADP work with the franchise advisory board on a continuous basis?
Sure. So some of the things that they share with us is, we meet with them very often, but they'll give us examples of what's happening real time. So, most recently we've heard trust is big. And I think, to bring back not only current customers, but how do you bring them back in a way that's safe? How do you show them that your location is safe for them to come back to. They're already familiar with it. They know the parking lot. They know what it feels like to walk in. So doubling down on current customers has really been big, as well as 9-to-5ers. So a lot of the franchisors in the space have shared with us, they've had 9-to-5ers that have hung up their corporate hats and said, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of my nest egg and start a franchisee for the very first time, or be a franchisee for the very first time, in addition to business models. So we've heard touchless, waitless, receptionless, cardless models, again, to try to drive that comfort for employers to be able to bring customers back to the workplace in the franchise market.
And to wrap up, what's been the response from your franchise partners?
It's been tremendous. We're really pleased and also humbled. Obviously, lots happening right now, but we've been able to grow new partnerships with certain brands, in addition to our current brands looking at the actual business model and being able to grow with them. So we're really pleased with the model.
All right, Matt, great to catch up with you. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.